2-minute run bumped two-time 500 champion Gordon Johncock from the field. Last year it was Vogler again, this time knocking out three-time Indy champion Johnny Rutherford. JR tried to return the favor, borrowing a car from fellow Texan A.J. Foyt, but the engine let go on his first lap. Rutherford came up 7/1000ths of a second short, and JR's agony became final qualifier Bernard Jourdain's joy. This year, Rutherford is back, trying for his 25th 500 start. Yesterday, he was bumped again, and time is running out for Lone Star JR. ESPN, the world leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. After 3 days of on and off typhoons, it's only appropriate that Bubble Day, the final chance to make the field for the Indy 500, should dawn with rain showers, but they have now passed on. The track is dry, and we're ready for the final 2 hours of qualification. Conditions right now 75 degrees and expected to go higher. Partly cloudy, light breeze, which normally would make for good conditions, but the humidity is 80%, chance of rain 50% during these precious few minutes. Hello again, everyone. I'm Bob Varsha, welcoming you live to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It all comes down to this. The 2 hours are all that are left to get your car into the 74th running of the Indianapolis 500. Regardless of position in the field, the slowest car in the field can be knocked out. Whoever beats him will take his position 33rd and last. It makes for a great deal of excitement. 2 cars have already been bumped, rookie Mike Groff and 3-time winner Johnny Rutherford, both of whom went out last night. With me once again to call the action, last year's co-rookie of the year, Scott Pruitt. And Scott, back in 1983, a speed of 209 miles an hour would have put you on the pole for the Indy 500. 22-year-old Buddy Lazier has that time right now, but he is dead last in the field, sitting on the bubble. We have a few good cars coming in behind him. What's going through his mind right now?
Well, for Buddy, it's a time of extreme nervousness, and from the speeds you've seen this morning, almost sure defeat. He's run a 209.4, but from what we've seen this morning with John Paul and some of the other people, it just doesn't look like it's going to be enough.
Buddy is, in fact, passing up his graduation from Curry College in Boston to try to live the dream of making the Indy 500 field. Now, Johnny Rutherford has not given up. He has been bumped, but he has found another race car to try to get into this race. He has been working on it in the garage area. It's the backup car for Tero Palmroth, the Finnish driver who's already in the field. Johnny is expected on the racetrack later today. His car owner will buy that car if it's fast enough to get into the field. What do you think he's thinking about, Scott?
Well, for Johnny, I don't think this day's long enough. He's working real hard, as you can see here, trying to get the seat fit up for him, and he wants to get out there and get a last chance. This is kind of a do-or-die situation for him. He was bumped last year, and I know he's trying hard to get in this year.
Well, we'll take a look now at the way the 33 cars line up as we prepare for the bumping to begin. On the pole with new 1- and 4-lap records, Emerson Fittipaldi, who picked up about $150,000 for doing so. Next to him, Penske teammate Rick Mears, who has won the race 3 times. And next to him, Arie Luyendyk, the Dutchman, with a great qualifying run yesterday. Row 2 will be 86 winner Bobby Rahal in a Chevrolet-powered car. Next to the quickest of 4 Andretti's in the field, Michael Father Mario will be next to him on Row 2. Row 3, the quick lack of the month, was set by Al Unser Jr., but when it came time to qualify, he couldn't get it done. He's on Row 3 next to A.J. Foyt and the 85 spin and win star, Danny Sullivan. Row 4, fastest non-Chevrolet in the field, John Andretti, next to the Cosworth-powered car of Dominic Dobson and Randy Lewis. On Row 5 will be Tony Bettenhausen, one of 2 Bettenhausen brothers in the field. Next to him, the fastest rookie thus far this year, Eddie Cheever, the Formula One star. Next to him, Kevin Kogan, who survived a savage crash in Indianapolis last year. On Row 6 will be Finnish driver Tero Palmroth, having made his second Indy 500. Next to him, Raul Brosel from Brazil in Scott Pruitt's old car, and Gary Bettenhausen. Row 7 will be Jeff Brabham, the 2-time Camel GT sports car star, next to Belgian Didier Taze and Canadian rookie Scott Goodyear. On row number 9 will be Pancho Carter, the last of the first-round qualifiers. 7 miles an hour faster was Teo Fabi in the second Porsche, but because he was a second-round qualifier, he's in the middle, and Dean Hall, another rookie, outside. Row 9 will be 83 winner Tom Sneva in a Buick-powered car for Vince Granatelli. Next to him, Scott Brayton, who waved off his run at the pole last Sunday in awkward circumstances, and Stan Fox. Row 10 will be Roberto Guerrero, the naturalized American from Colombia with the Alfa Romeo team, next to Jim Crawford, who's had 2 big crashes and a spin, and Al Unser Sr. Row 11 would be Billy Vukovic III and the 2 slowest cars out there right now, Mario's youngest son, Jeff Andretti, and Buddy Lazier, who presently sits on the bubble. We have practice going on right now on the racetrack. We expect the first of our qualifying attempts before too very long. You've already heard about the man who has been the spoiler the last couple of years here at Indianapolis. He's standing by now with Gary Lee.
Well, thank you, Bob. Good afternoon. It does seem like deja vu late in a qualifying day on Sunday. We're here in the pit wall with Rich Vogler. You've endured 2 crashes so far in qualifying, 2 cars wiped out. How'd you get hooked up with Antonio Ferrari?
Well, Antonio and Jonathan Burt put together a deal last night while I was at the Winchester sprint car race.
Antonio, did this make your decision much easier that he was available?
I think right now Rich is the only drivers can make the show. 2 hours to go. I think it's very difficult. He has done last year. I hope that he done again.
And the last 2 years, you bumped out Gordy Johncock, a past winner. Last year, it was JR, Lone Star JR, Johnny Rutherford. And this year, you're wearing the helmet of Mario Andretti. What are you doing with his color scheme?
Well, that's actually John Andretti's helmet. Yesterday in my qualifying crash, my Simpson helmet broke. I didn't feel it at all. Actually, I didn't notice it till the doctors inspected it. And this is what Simpson had to give me. They says, use this until after you get in a race and they'll repaint it for me.
Well, don't be confused. We have 4 Andrettis in the race. We will not have number 5 here. We had a qualification attempt only moments before we came on the air. With more on that, here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you, Gary. 30-year-old West Palm Beach, Florida driver John Paul decided to go out and maybe make a run a little bit ago, but he waved it off. Now, John, you had been running the car about 207 miles an hour yesterday. This morning in practice, you were over 214. What's the difference?
Well, basically just learning my way around. It's been a year since I was here. Yesterday was the first time the car ever turned a wheel, so I was just shaking it down, seeing what it wanted. Today we made slight changes to it, and boom, the time was right there, so we felt pretty comfortable. And then as we waited for the qualifying line to open, the sun came out a little bit, changed the track. We had never encountered any track changes yet this month, so it caught us off guard a little.
A few days ago, you didn't even have a car to qualify. Your car owner, Dave Mann, went and bought this car from where?
Well, I bought it off of Rick Gallis a week ago. They had to go to Albuquerque and pick it up and bring it back, plumb it for a Buick motor from a Chevy, which is a big job. It's about a 3-week job, and they did it in a week. We started running yesterday.
He's going to try to go out momentarily and get this car in the field. If he runs a 214 plus like he ran a little bit ago, he will definitely be in the field. Again, a year ago, he bumped Davy Jones, and Davy came back and bumped him, so he's very familiar with what happens here on Bubble Day. Bob?
Okay, thank you, Jerry. In fact, a week ago, John Paul Jr.'s car was a Lola with Chevy power. Al Unser Jr. used it to win the race at Long Beach. Now they have brought it off of the dealership floor. They're going to try to make it a serviceable racer. And John Paul Jr., a former sports car champion, will take his shot at the 74th Indy 500. Stay with us. Lots still to come. Flag practice conditions right now, and as soon as someone takes the opportunity to make a qualifying attempt, they will clear the track and we will get underway. Speaking of qualifying attempts, a little earlier in the day, Jerry Punch would talk with one of the busiest car owners around.
It has been a difficult month here for 3-time Indy 500 winner Johnny Rutherford. He came here in the Jeff Stoops prepared 89 Lola Cosworth, and they had trouble. They lost the race car, one side of one race car, the other side of the other 89, and tried to qualify the 88 at 204.8 miles per hour. Well, late yesterday, the inevitable happened when you run under 205 here. He was bumped from the field. Now, last night, car owner Jeff Stoops, standing with me, went to work looking to buy an alternative ride, another car. And Jeff, when we left last night at the end of our show here, and of course some of the Speed Week show, you were scouring the garage area, talking to some car owners, and what did you come up with?
Well, we talked to several different car owners, and we basically came back to the same thing we started with, was another 89 Lola with a new DFS Cosworth like we've been running. And we know a lot about that race car. We tested with that car here, and John's comfortable in that car. And that's the car we ran over 212 in the second day of practice here. So we thought if we were going to try to do it in one afternoon, we should do it with a car that we're familiar with. His 89, which Scott Brayton ran here in the race last year, and they have had this car at 216 here this year with the diffuser, with the tunnel changes. So we don't know what we can do today, but Dick was kind enough to loan us the race car and let us go practice with it. And if it feels like it's going to be fast enough, then we'll buy the race car from Dick, and then we'll put it in the show. If not, we'll give it back to him and shake hands and say thanks.
Jeff, we wish you the best of luck, and you and your driver involved in trying to get this car prepared. The crew scampering here trying to get the car put together, and yes, even a 3-time Indy winner, Johnny Rutherford, trying to get the cockpit ready for him to climb in and qualify. We'll catch up with you later on. Good luck to you.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jerry. There you see the field summary. 49 cars presented at the qualifying line. Of those, 35 have qualified. Of course, only 33 are in the field. The other 2 are bumps. We've had only 11 wave-offs. People really making use of their time on the racetrack. The field average of 217.252 is bound to go up as quicker cars get into the field. It's already 0.6 of a mile an hour faster than last year's record field average. Still to qualify, Rich Vogler has had a couple of tough crashes here in the last few days. Johnny Rutherford, Lone Star JR, needs another race car to get in there. You cannot come back out with a car you've already qualified. Steve Chassie has had a couple of tough wrecks. Rocky Moran has changed to Buick Power from Cosworth he originally came here with, and he has been going very quickly today. Guido Dacco also with a shot at the field. We are under yellow flag right now. Jeff Wood, a rookie, hoping to get into the field. Salt Walther hoping to continue his comeback from a 10-year layoff here at Indianapolis. And John Paul Jr., whom we've already heard from. Speaking of Salt Walther, Gary Lee is standing by with a man right now.
Well, Salt, at the concession stand, the souvenir stand, you can buy almost anything, but it's tough to buy an extra 5 or 6 miles an hour here at the Brickyard.
I'd give about anything for it. You know, we're running right. We can run 206, and it seems to be where we're stuck. But we're still not handling. I can't get wide open all the way around there. We got a down speed now at 216. So if we could get wide open through there, you can still run a 212. But I just can't do it yet. The chassis just not right yet. We're getting closer. We're faster than yesterday, but that didn't cut it yet.
You're a veteran of 7 Indy 500s, took a sabbatical for about 10, 11 years. What prompted your return?
I think I'd drive here for nothing, but it's money, it's a sponsor. Dad looked at me and said, I'm going this year whether you go or not, and that was enough for me. He said, if you want to go, let's go, so we're here.
Well, of course, the Walther family's been involved with this sport for, what, about 35 years now?
This Dad's 40th year. You know, he ran a couple other drivers the last 4 or 5 years. He hasn't made it since I haven't made it, but we may not make it today. I don't know. I still believe we can. We got a couple hours left.
The feeling's right back where it was a few years back. It only takes a few laps to get it back.
Takes about 10. You scare yourself a little bit, and then you start having fun.
You went through rookie orientation and took the complete rookies test.
I don't think that was fair because they tell me now that I can't have the ring, the money, or anything else. If I make the show and I win Rookie of the Year, you can't get anything. I shouldn't have to go through that. We did what they said. You know, I'm happy. We're here. We'll do the best we can this year, but we'll be back next year with some new stuff.
But for a few more miles an hour in car 77.
Salt Walther trying to come back. He had a terrible crash here way back in 1973. There you see his car, number 77. And as Gary pointed out, his father George has been coming here for some 34 to 35 years to Indianapolis. That's the kind of connection people have with this race. And we'll return live to Indy in a moment. Parnelli Jones was looking for and found something completely unique for 1972. Maurice Philippe, who created the turbine wedge of 1968, devised the dihedral wing, a real attention grabber. Mario Andretti, Al Unser, and Joe Leonard were the assigned drivers, and all 3 succeeded in making the starting field after the wings had been sawn off. It has been an eventful week here at Indianapolis, and the last couple of days have been somewhat hazardous. We'd like to pass along our best wishes to Debbie Rahal, wife of Bobby Rahal, who fell from a horse near her home in Columbus, Ohio yesterday and broke her vertebrae. We understand she's resting comfortably in a Columbus area hospital. Debbie, if you're looking in, we're all pulling for you. She is to be released tomorrow, we understand. Derek Daly, familiar to many ESPN viewers as our sometime commentator on Indy cars, sports cars, and the like, has also suffered an accident. Derek underwent surgery last night for 5 fractures in his right cheekbone as a result of a water skiing accident at his home here in the Indianapolis area. So, Derek, if you're looking in, keep your chin up, buddy, and we hope you're feeling well. And on Friday, a big accident suffered by Bernard Jourdain, one of the real tragedies of Indianapolis thus far. Here you see the crash on Friday, head on into both walls and then hit the end of the pit wall hard. Jourdain was to be the first one out in Saturday's continued first round qualifying. He was in the hospital with a fractured rib and a punctured foot. And we just found out today that doctors have found that he has a ruptured spleen as well. He went into surgery about an hour ago. There has been no team announcement, but Bernard Jourdain's Indy 500 hopes have now been dashed. We continue with qualifying. There is a close look at the scoring tower that was being buffeted in the winds yesterday. Let's get down to the pit lane now for a comment from Jerry Punch.
It's not unusual at all for someone like Bernard Jourdain, a driver, to take that kind of lick, for them not to be able to realize maybe for a day or so that he may have a gradual enlargement of the spleen. Now, of course, they have the best medical crews around here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway and at Methodist Hospital, but I guess a series of scans. We mentioned yesterday that he had been removed from intensive care to a private room, but it usually is a day or two sometimes before you can see a smoldering injury. Our best to Bernard Jourdain and the crew there as they await We're further word on his possible surgery. And likewise, there are priorities in this life, and Bobby Rahal has to be commended. Yesterday, he was called about 3 o'clock here and told that his wife had fallen. Debbie Rahal had fallen from a horse at home. Actually, she was knocked unconscious, got up. When she awakened, got the horse back in the barn, took the saddle off, and went to the hospital with a friend. Now, certainly our best wishes to Bobby and Debbie Rahal as she's recovering there at Riverside Hospital in Columbus, Ohio. Let's go up pit road to Gary Lee.
A lot like baseball here at the Speedway, 3 strikes and you're out. Rocky Moran, we can feel the tension right down here in this Gore Racing pit because you have 2 strikes in that white number 56. What's the prognosis now?
Well, we're out of time, or almost out of time in finding speed, and we need another couple miles an hour to be comfortable. We're running right now, the best we ran this afternoon is 2:11, and we haven't been able to repeat it. We've been about 2:09, 2:10. So we're kind of sweating on bubbles. We went back for fuel now and trying to think of a change and maybe go ahead and give her a shot. We're worried about the rain coming in.
We've heard a lot about the drivers driving the Buicks.
Running the older mechanical injected Cosworths, long stroke, and they're basically dinosaurs here now, especially with this diffuser deal with the old cars. So the Buick's a great power plant, and if we had the time to optimize our chassis, there'd be no problem finding some considerable more speed. But we basically had the car only to run on Friday with the Buick in it, and we're just not there yet.
The car is being refueled right now. Will you take it out as soon as it comes back, or wait and keep an eye to the sky?
If we could luck out and lose some temperature here without it raining, it would help. It would help the track and the whole deal. They haven't told me what we're doing yet. I'm waiting to find out, too.
I think we have to underscore that a cloudy condition here can add 2 or 3 miles per hour to the run without changing the race car.
That's right. You pick up a little bit of grip, and the engine works a little bit better, and it's real easy. I mean, a couple miles an hour is, a half second. You pick up a half second a lap, sounds like nothing. You run a couple miles an hour quicker, and that's the difference.
We can feel the tension. It's a matter of waiting.
Speed, speed, speed. Always the story here at Indianapolis as you watch Arie Luyendyk circulating. 223 put him on the front row for the first time in any oval race, much less the Indy 500. You know about the 228 mile an hour speeds turned by Al Unser Jr. and Emerson Fittipaldi. The 225 miles an hour that got the pole? Well, Jerry Punch met the real Indianapolis hot shoe.
If you had to pick a favorite for the pole, who would you have chosen? How about defending 500 champion Emerson Fittipaldi? Possibly the Ovalmeister, Rick Mears. The Flying Dutchman, Arie Luyendyk. Maybe Mario. Or how about Al Unser Jr. rebounding from a year ago? He's been fast all month long. Well, our ESPN cameras have uncovered the driver of the fastest unofficial lap ever at the Speedway, and surprise, it's none of the aforementioned drivers. All of those legends pale in comparison to the sleek qualifying trim of Speedway Museum mailroom clerk Richard Smith. Richard once completed a lap at 229.9 miles per hour. At 6 p.m., when most of the Brickyard Bullets are headed home, Richard climbs behind the keyboard as test driver for a revolutionary new Indy 500 computer game, which he helped develop.
Here in the marketing department, we've been trying to put together some products that, in addition to apparel items, we're trying to get into toys and games and some items that the race fan can feel like he's a part of this event and he can experience what the race drivers are experiencing on the racetrack. What we're able to do with this game is you're able to pick your own chassis and engine combination. You can pick a March Cosworth, a Lola Buick, or a Penske Chevrolet, and each one has its own characteristics. And then within those, you're able to pick a variety of chassis setups, anything from the camber to the shocks, tire pressures, all the elements that a regular IndyCar team would be experiencing. And each one has its own effect on the feel as you drive around the course, and you try to fit the one that matches your skills the best.
Although there officially has never been a Smith who raced in the Indy 500, don't give up hope, Richard. Someday you too can join the legends who have taken a sip of the milk. Names like Unser, Rutherford, and Foyt, whose lightning-quick reflexes have carried them to greatness over the years here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
That's great. Scott, have you ever tried that game?
Yeah, in fact, Paul Page was busting my chops about doing it for the first time, and got out there on the second day, ran at 225. So it's a great game. I mean, you can change staggers, you can change tire compounds, you can change shocks. It's phenomenal.
As you take a look at the new suites built to accommodate some 17,000 more seats in this mammoth Indianapolis Motor Speedway, let's go down to the pit lane.
We're standing by with Bob Lazier, who is the father of Buddy Lazier, the young man who is on the bubble right now in Indianapolis, qualifying at 209.4 miles per hour. Now, Bob's name familiar because he ran here in Indianapolis as a rookie in 1981 and went on to be Tour Rookie of the Year in IndyCar racing. And Bob, it's got to be a helpless feeling. You're pacing up and down, and your son is also pacing. We couldn't get him stopped long enough. What do you do if the speeds come?
Well, the speeds are coming. The day's getting very fast. We're still hoping very hard for rain. We're hoping for, some type of a miracle, that we played our cards the way they came and the best we could. Buddy turned his fastest lap in qualifying, did a great job. We did all that we could do, quite frankly. Right now, we're going up and down the pits hoping somebody will give us a car or something like this. So we still have about an hour and a half, but the times are, there are 3 cars going faster than what Buddy went yesterday. Now, if the rain comes a little bit, that can change it. An accident can change it. Somebody can blow an engine. So we're not out yet. But boy, the numbers are against us.
So all that dancing and chanting that Buddy was doing was probably for rain.
We had a good morning because it was raining and things looked really good. And you do the best you can. And the best was almost close enough. It's still maybe. Let's see what happens.
We'll see what happened indeed here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway as Buddy Lazier is on the bubble. It is bubble day, final day for qualifying. Maybe John Paul, maybe Johnny Rutherford. Stand by. We'll be back.
Kansas City Royals versus the New York Yankees. Boy, if you saw that 11-inning number the other night when Ricky Rudd scored under a pretty questionable umpire's call, you're going to want to watch this one. Live at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Kansas City against the Yankees. We are under green flag conditions as you take a look down at Jeff Andretti, youngest son of Mario Andretti. Cars are on the racetrack, not only trying to get up to speed to get into the field if they're not in, they're also working on their race cars. Jeff Andretti is the second in line to be bumped. Buddy Lazier at 209.418 is slowest in the 33-car field. Jeff Andretti at 210.268 would be next if Lazier is bumped. And these are the most anxious moments any driver in Indianapolis could ever spend, on either side of the fence, either in or out. Scott, let's say you're in the field, you're on the racetrack now. What are you trying to accomplish?
Well, it depends on who you are. For Jeff Andretti, he's really looking to play his cards or at least pack his side to make sure that in case he is bumped, that he has enough speed to come back and retaliate. Or people like Danny Sullivan that you see right here, they could be doing a number of a couple things. They could be out there checking full fuel load to see how the car's doing, and they could also be out there just scrubbing tires for the race. They do change somewhat from the time they're new to the time you put them on a car and get them around the track a little bit.
Now, your eyes do not deceive you. That is, in fact, Sullivan in the number 1 car. 1 is reserved for Emerson Fittipaldi. Danny qualified Emerson's backup car. Danny's backup was a short track car, so they took Emerson's T car, gave that to Danny, and that's the car that he qualified outside row number 3. Here is the number 93 of John Paul Jr. about to go through tech inspection, and then we anticipate a qualifying attempt. Paul Jr. has already turned a lap at 214.072 miles an hour today, certainly well above what he would need to get into the field. Notice the color scheme on this car. I don't think they left one out. This was a show car for Bobby Rahaal's Craco team just a week ago, and if you've been with us since 4 o'clock, you know that, or 5 o'clock on the East Coast, you heard John Paul explain that they have transferred this car from Chevrolet power to Buick, and they haven't managed to repaint the car yet. He's going to try to get it into the field. There you see Mary George, part of the Holman-George family axis that has owned Indianapolis Motor Speedway since just after World War II, has spent tens of millions of dollars upgrading it. Mary's son Tony is beginning his first year as president of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We spent a few moments with Tony in his first year on the job.
What were the main characteristics of your grandfather that you hope to carry on?
I have people coming up to me all the time who I have no idea who they are, but they, stop me and tell me about the time that Pawpaw did this for him or did that for him, and how wonderful he was for this reason or that reason. And it was just kind of something that I realized that about the guy 12, 15 years ago, and something that I respected and and would like to be like one of these days.
Why did you want to become president right now? Do you think that you have paid your dues and are ready for it?
You know, I'm 30 years old. Probably by most people's standards, that's rather young to run a internationally known company, but it is nevertheless a family-owned business, and it's we want to keep the management of it in the family so that we can be assured that the traditions are adhered to, and that you know, this thing doesn't just become someone's marketing project or you know, exploited in any way.
How did the association between your family and A.J. Foyt and your relationship with A.J. come about?
Well, A.J., you know, back before he was making money racing, he come back to Indianapolis, and I guess couldn't really afford to you know, rent an apartment or a motel room, and he's spent a lot of time. He lived in our basement, I guess. I mean, my dad raced and my mom owned cars, and they were, you know, they would travel around all the dirt tracks around the country together, and obviously it's just sort of developed out of that friendship from racing, and my parents became very good friends with him, and my grandfather, you know, loved him like a son, and I mean, that's how it developed. I've known him all my life.
Tony, there are many like me who get cold chills when we come into this place for the first time during the year. You're here a lot, but yet do you also get excited about coming here and witnessing this event?
Oh, without a doubt, it's very special. I've been to Super Bowls and World Series, and when they go through the ceremonies leading up to the start of the race, you know, the anticipation starts to build, and by the time they get around to back home again in Indiana and start your engines and all that, man, I mean, the chills run up and down my back, and it's the most excited I am all year long.
Our thanks to Bob Jenkins for conducting that interview. There you see the new corporate spaces. There were only 18 planned, but over 40 people showed interest in them, so there are now 38 of them up there. There next to that you see the scoring tower that is now 30 years old. Tony George says that may be his next project, is to replace that. Indianapolis Motor Speedway is big business. For example, the following are all registered trademarks of the corporation: Indianapolis 500, Indy 500, the Indy, the greatest spectacle in racing, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and the greatest race course in the world. All registered trademarks of the corporation. Scott, I know you have heard from Tony George recently.
Well, the Holman family has been super. After it was heard that I wouldn't be making a race this year, they were nice enough to send me an invitation to their suite to be able to come up there anytime I wanted to spend a little time. And I got to tell you, they're wonderful suites they just put up.
Well, we're glad you're here with us for our live coverage of the time trials. Meanwhile, Jerry Punch has Johnny Rutherford down in the pit lane. Those are not the suites.
Yes, we are standing here with Lone Star JR, and a little bit ago you saw Johnny working on the car. Now, I don't know how you get a multi-millionaire driver that's won 3 times in Indianapolis to work on a race car, but this guy was preparing the cockpit of the car, and I guess you haven't been out yet in the car, but getting ready to go.
No, we've been busy trying to get the car set up the way we want it, and we're going to work on that, get out, and give it a go.
Now, what kind of speeds do you think the car, you put your setup on the car. The car came from Dick Simon Racing. It was a backup for Taro Palmroth before they got the 90 car ready. This car had been, what, 206, 7, somewhere along in there?
In that range. I don't know, honestly, what we're capable of. We're just, you know, we're going to go out and see right now.
Well, we'll see with you here as Johnny Rutherford gets ready to go out here and make an effort to get his car in the field. He'll get to run some hot laps and possibly get a chance to qualify for the 25th time here in the Indianapolis 500. Stay tuned.
Back live at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where John Paul Jr. is strapping himself into his race car. He will then go out on the track and make a 4-lap run at Buddy Lazier's slow time of 2:09.418. Lazier is on the bubble. 22 years makes him by far the youngest driver entered here at Indianapolis. The only IndyCar race he runs all year. Last year he crashed on this day and was not able to get into the field. On the 33 slot, on the famous scoring pylon here in Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you see the number 91 that is of Buddy Lazier.
A lot of nervous energy going through Buddy's mind right now. You know, he knows there's been a lot of speeds that have been quicker than him. He knows there's a good chance to be bumped out, but I'm sure he's trying to keep up his enthusiasm.
I don't know about you, Scott, but I can't help but look around this place and think of some of the great names that have been here in the past. And when you think about, Louis Seymour and the A.J. Foyts and the Tom Snevas, and go all the way back through history, all the way back to Ray Haroon, who won the first Indianapolis 500-mile race. This is a place that's been visited year after year, more than any other racetrack in the world, in continuous operation.
You know, people say, or drivers say when they come here, it's just another race, and people have said that to me. But when you get here, it's not just another race. There's so much history and tradition, and it's a month of running. I mean, it's not just 3 days like the kart races. It's a whole month of running, and a lot of pressure and a lot of ins and outs.
I meant Louis Meyer, not Louis Seymour. He owns a sprint car. Let's get down to Gary Lee in the pit lane.
We were talking with John Paul. He made that attempt earlier, came in. I said, what changes did you make? He said, Gary, the sun caught us by surprise. It popped out, changed the conditions. He said, we added more wing to the right front. So perhaps, Scott, you could amplify on how that would change the handling characteristics of a car when he goes back out to qualify.
Well, what's happening is he probably got out there and was having an understeer problem, which means that he was turning the front wheels, but he wasn't turning as much as he'd like to. So he came in and put a little bit more front wing on just one side. That'll help him actually through the turn and turning the car itself. So when the sun did come out, he lost a little bit of grip in the front, and now he's trying to get a little back.
Out of the crowded pit lane comes 30-year-old John Paul Jr. in his attempt to make the 74th Indy 500. We'll take a quick time out and show you how he does. Back live at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where John Paul Jr. has completed one warm-up lap. He will have one more, and then his crew will wave either the yellow or green flags to indicate that he is beginning a 4-lap qualification attempt.
This has got to be one of the most colorful cars I've ever seen. It's a little bit of everything on that car. And this will be his second time up to bat. He will have 3 opportunities. This will be his second to get out there and try and bump Buddy Lazier.
If he can get into the field, he will become the 10th or perhaps 11th Buick in the field. There are already 10 Chevrolet Indy engines in there, 6 Cosworths, 3 Judds, 2 Porsches, 2 Alfa Romeos making their return to the Speedway after a 42-year absence. You saw the green flag. John Paul Jr. is on his way.
As you can see, the shadows when the sun comes out are really notorious. It's really tough sometimes to read the line, especially with the sun bumping out between the clouds. Sometimes there's shadows and sometimes there's not, and that can be pretty tough for a driver.
5/8 of a mile straightaways, front and back, 660-foot turns, 1,320-foot short chutes. And Alonso Jr. has already stated that the speeds the cars are going this year, those short chutes disappear in a hurry. It's one long turn at each end of the speedway.
It's tough to appreciate how fast they're really going, but if you can imagine crossing, going down a football field in less than a second, that's about how fast they're covering.
Across the line he comes. We're looking for his first lap speed. Should be a pretty good indicator of what the final average will be. And it's a good one, 214.495 miles an hour. Now keep in mind that no matter how fast he goes, he will go into the 33rd starting spot, replacing Buddy Lazier. And he will move up as anybody ahead of him is bumped. 220 his speed, terminal speed at the end of the back straightaway. 211 his speed off of turn 3. Simple math tells you that he's scrubbing off quite a bit of speed getting through that turn. An indication of how the car is handling for him.
When this car is running optimum, you really are looking at dropping about 4 to 5 miles an hour around the whole track from your top speed to your slowest speed. Let's take a look at his second lap.
And a big rush from the crowd.
215.
215.064. John Paul Jr. has really got his foot in it.
Whatever the change they made, it was good.
Now a little bit slower at the end of the straightaway. That's on 219. Let's see what he has on the exit. 209, losing about 10 miles an hour. So the car is not handling optimally, according to what you say, Scott. But plenty more than he needs to bump Buddy Lazier and get into this field. 1 lap to go for John Paul Jr., the 1982 Camel GT Sports Car champion, who has already won an IndyCar 500-miler in his career. In a dramatic finish at Michigan a few years ago, he drove under Rick Mears and beat him to the finish line. That was in 1983.
213.6 for the third lap.
And that makes his 3-lap average 214.386 miles an hour, doing really well. 219 once again at the end of the backstretch. Pretty consistent laps, it looks like, from our speed trap. Now he completes his run. John Paul Jr. from West Palm Beach, Florida. And he is into the field.
This is really the highs and the lows. The highs for John and the lows for poor Buddy Lazier.
You mentioned that Buddy Lazier passed up commencement ceremonies at Curry College in Boston. He has a double major in business and in communications, hoping to live out his Indianapolis dream. But right now he is out of the field. There you see his 4-lap average. John Paul Jr. 214.411. But regardless of speed, he will go into the 33rd and final qualifying position. That has to be a tremendous sense of relief. The wave to the crowd. Now moving on to the bubble, Jeff Andretti. The Andrettis hope to be the first family in Indianapolis history to start 4 members of the family. 210.268 is the speed for young Jeff. Someone is going to have to beat that. The 91 will come down. The 93 of John Paul Jr. will go up. And the drama continues here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Stay there.
John Paul Jr. just getting a big hug there from car owner Dave Mann. And John, you did it, 214.4 miles an hour. Congratulations.
I'll take it. I'll tell you, it's a nice run. Car was very balanced, had a little bit of a push. I ran a little lower than I would have wanted, but it's great to be in.
Make up for what happened a year ago?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had a tremendous effort last year with Kent Baker. We came up a mile an hour short. This makes up for it, really does.
They were cheering as he came down pit road. Everyone in Indianapolis loves Bubble Day. They love an underdog, and they've got to like the efforts for John Paul Jr.
And now going onto the track, well, we have practice conditions. The first 2 cars in your picture there, Johnny Rutherford in Taro Palmroth's backup car. Right behind him is the 98 of Jeff Andretti, the man he is trying to unseat for the race. There is Mario Andretti sitting on the pit wall. In the red shirt with his back to you is Michael, father and brother of the man out on the racetrack, Jeff Andretti, hoping to become, or at least remain, the 4th Andretti in the field for the 74th Indy 500. What a great story the Andrettis have been. Cars slowly coming up to speed. Johnny Rutherford really in a tough situation. Here's a 3-time champion of the Indy 500 who's had such a difficult time qualifying the last couple of years. Barely able to get into the field in '87 and '88. Bumped from the field in '89. No way to treat a legend. Gary Lee has more on JR from the pit lane.
Well, actually, it's not JR. It's Jeff Andretti. This time, Jeff is now on the bubble, something his older brother or father never experienced here in Indianapolis as a rookie, or any time for that matter. Now remember, on the bubble, he now has a backup car. That backup car yesterday was in pieces. This is actually a test Lola used last year by the Carl Haas team with Michael and Mario. They took possession of the car last night. The team worked all night long putting it together. Right now, they say he's working up to speed. He's at 207, and out here along the pit wall, Dad Mario and older brother Michael. So Jeff on the bubble, but he has a backup just in case.
You saw Johnny Rutherford cruising very slowly around the racetrack. He did stay out. He did not come into the pit, so Johnny is working up to speed quite slowly. There you see the speed for Jeff Andretti. A speed he hopes will keep him in the field.
What Johnny's doing is basically warming up not just the engine, but the water and also all the lubricants in the transmission and other pieces of the engine. It does take from a cool car a few laps for everything to get going and get rolling and up to speed.
Looking down the long backstretch at Indianapolis. Seen of so many great races over the year. Here comes Jeff Wood now. Jeff has a new engine in that car. It's a Cosworth power plant built by the famed engine builder Franz Weiss down in Texas. That engine was bought from A.J. Foyt's team. And here's Jeff Andretti spinning at the pit entrance. But he didn't hit anything. Oof. Close moment there. Jeff Andretti came off turn 4 just as he was beginning to build up speed and looped it.
From the looks of it, it looks like the same thing that happened earlier. He had spun coming right off of 4.
quickly we could move down here in the pit area. We saw him spin and then saw him headed for the pit area. We all went across the pit wall as we saw Michael take off one direction. Mario didn't move, but we could see actually the jubilation from the cockpit as the crowd is going wild down here as Jeff climbs out. That is something that's not necessarily talent, but a lot of luck. But whatever it is, he brought it back and stopped it right in his pit. Look at the tires. The tires are chewed up. They're flat spotted, but the fans have gone wild down here as Jeff climbed out and walked away, and now he's talking to his dad about exactly what happened, and we'll try to get in momentarily to find out ourselves.
And as a result, the yellow flag is out. They'll take a look at the racetrack, and all the cars will be brought in. We are now at 4:51 local time in the afternoon. Jeff Andretti shaking his head as if to say, I don't know what happened, Dad. And that has to be scary for a driver. We'll take another look at it. Got the old ticker going, did you, Jeff? Here's the tail end of it. Any ideas, Scott?
Well, it looks like he just came off a 4 and just got away from him, probably a loose in the rear, and that comes from just pushing real hard, trying to get those numbers, and you can't do it.
Notice the crewman standing there in the pit lane clapping his hands. Thanks a lot. Where were you when I was spinning?
Indy, you cannot carry a car around. You have to dial it in right. John Paul was real smart. He said the car wasn't right. We came in, we made that small adjustment, and look how much time he made up.
In fact, Mo Nunn, the engineer for the Alfa Romeo team, came to the racetrack with Roberto Guerrero a number of years ago. He said Mario Andretti's first words were, if you've got a car that'll go 200 miles an hour, don't try to go 202 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Close moment there for Jeff Andretti. Now he's going to wait to see if his time will hold up. We'll be back to Indy in a moment.
Your pulse rate, because I know mine's up a couple of beats. I saw you spin, I saw you come in, and I went over the fence. What happened up there?
Well, we just tried a little bigger stagger on the race car, and the car just got loose coming off 4, and I felt it go, and I just locked it up and just hoped I would keep it off the wall. And just a stroke of luck that when the thing came around, it was pointing straight towards the pit lane. I just let off the brake and just coasted in. It was just one of those things.
There are many ways to look at it. One way is saying, well, that's a good omen. Maybe I'm meant to be in this year's race.
Yeah, maybe. It certainly is looking up for us in that respect. At least we didn't hurt the car, and we're certainly not going to do that again.
What Dad had to say when he walked over?
Well, what are you going to say? All he said was, good job keeping it off the wall.
All right, we'll look for you back in the cockpit momentarily, Jeff.
Thanks.
And that's a bit of deja vu all over again for Jeff Andretti, as Yogi Berra might have said. Jeff crashed on Friday, May 11th in that same corner. We have some results from the Winston over at Charlotte, North Carolina. How are you going to stop Dale Earnhardt? He qualified on the pole. He led both legs of the event, picks up $250,000, beating Ken Schrader, Mark Martin, Bill Elliott, and Davey Allison. Believe it or not, no controversy this year. The first time anybody has won from the pole in the Winston. Rusty Wallace went out early. Tough day for him. Boy, Dale Earnhardt is really on the road. But the Andrettis are the people at the center stage right now. And when we thought it was going to be rainy, we took the time for a long sit down with the 4 Andrettis presently in the Indy 500.
At 12:05 Saturday, May 19th, history was made here at the Brickyard as young Jeff Andretti joined his dad Mario, his older brother Michael, and his cousin John as the first family to have 4 members in the same Indy 500. And we have done something very difficult. We have gathered all 4 together here this afternoon. Mario, back in 1965, when you came here as a rookie and had 2 youngsters in tow, did you ever have a thought that they may follow in your footsteps?
No idea whatsoever. No way.
And of course your brother Aldo, your twin brother, was racing, and from that we have John. But at the time these guys were racing quarter midgets together, I talked to them and they said, yeah, we knew we were going to be race car drivers, right?
Well, they knew, I think,
yeah.
And that's why they're here, I suppose. But it's pretty tough to obviously, have those thoughts. It seems so far-fetched, and logistically, it just doesn't add up until it actually happens, and even then it's hard to believe.
Mario, did you encourage the boys to maybe pursue a career in racing, or did you give them an open field they could go wherever they wanted to go?
Well, they got indirect encouragement by being exposed all their young lives, obviously, to what I was doing, because they've attended so many races, and they lived that life, and I think that was probably the indirect encouragement. But from there on, it was something that they had to decide what they wanted to do.
Michael, did you think about possibly an alternative career, or did you know you were going to get in a race car and say, I'm going to be a pedal pusher like Dad?
Well, I always felt that I was going to be a race car driver, but you know, I have no idea what I would have been if I wasn't. It's pretty scary, actually, a scary thought, but you know, I've always wanted to drive, and you know, when I was 16 is when I got very serious about it. I went to a bunch of race driving schools, and after I experienced that, that's when I started going for it.
Let's take a look at your last lap here in qualifying, Michael. Michael, the quickest of the 4 Andrettis. Here, your final lap at Indianapolis in qualifying last week, over 222 miles an hour, Mike.
Well, you can see I did 4 different laps, really. I just trying 4 different lines because I'm flat out the whole 4 laps, and didn't seem to matter what I did. It was the same speed, so you know, it was a fairly smooth run. The car was very consistent, but not quick enough.
Well, not quick enough maybe for the front row, of course, but the quickest of the Andretti's and a good lap for you. Now, Jeff, your first tour here at Indianapolis, and your experiences so far, are you getting more comfortable in the car?
Yeah, I'm getting more comfortable. Every time I go out there, I go a little bit faster on the track and getting used to the car a lot more, and I know what to expect now when I get out there, so it's getting a lot better.
You know, how do you know when you're ready to come to Indianapolis? I mean, you were successful, came up as your brother did through some of the formula ranks, and then you had ARS competition available, which Michael didn't. When do you know you're ready to come here?
Well, I've done the American Racing Series now for the past couple of years, and well, I felt that the next step from ARS was to come here, and that's what we did. We just decided that it was time.
In the Andretti household, John is the anachronism. He came up through midgets and sprint cars before going on to Indy cars. And let's talk about the pressure, John, of being an Andretti and trying to follow in Uncle Mario's footsteps.
It's very difficult because, you know, you look in the rule book and he's won everything. And anything you come in to win, you're the second Andretti to win it or something. I think he wears a size 64 shoe, and it's pretty difficult to fill that size shoe. So we're all trying to make a career of our own and become as, you know, accepted in the racing world as much as possible. And, you know, here they're showing my qualifying run, of which we ran 221 and 220 all morning, and then during qualifying I ran the engine a little harder than I would have liked in the morning session, and it hurt us. Every lap got slower, even though I was flat out, and I did the same thing Michael did. I tried a lot of different lines, but there wasn't any more left in it.
We've talked a lot about the size of these race cars, and I think that's probably the smallest race car out there, and nobody else could climb in that cockpit because it's built simply for you.
Yeah, I told them that'd be a good idea, and it brings a lot of job security, so they'd have to go somewhere in the 8th grade to find somebody to replace me, and they're too young to drive here, so I'm in good shape.
So, Mario, when the helmet goes on, they're not relatives. You've banged wheels in the pit area of all places with your son, and I recall, was it Nazareth last year you kind of got together with your nephew?
Yeah, that's true. That was not one of the highlights of our careers. And actually, we're almost somewhat relieved that we're not totally together at the start here because, as you know, fate would have it that we had to bang wheels going into the first turn. But we do watch after one another, no question, and we don't want anything to happen like that, anything useless thing. There's my run again. I don't know. They all look the same to me from here. So
Mario, your run a little bit different though than the kids we're sitting with here. You got quicker every lap out, and they didn't. What's the difference?
I don't know. I don't know why. I just tried to run the car yeah, I think I did try different line as well, and tried to get the car as free as I could. As you can see, you know, we were just flat. You know, all of us just ran flat. The cars were capable of doing that, but and we were really trimmed out, but it just wasn't free enough through the corners. Again, you know, it's amazing, you know, what it takes. It's just very minute changes here that will give you a couple miles an hour. We were searching for that, but we just never found it.
I think 25 years of experience says a lot about Mario Andretti. A lot of the more experienced drivers did run quicker as each lap progressed, and some of the younger guys fell off a little bit. Now, one young man who's been initiated to the Brickyard in the field right now, and your feet are probably tired, has been doing a rain dance all morning here, hoping that we would get some drizzle, and now it's starting to clear. Jeff, what happens if the inevitable? What happens if the bubble comes and you're off? Do you make another run?
Yeah, we'll make another run with, we have our backup car ready to go. We're going to go out, if it's dry, we're just going to go out and try and get the backup car up to speed. And if it comes down to we have to use it, then we'll try and qualify that car.
Well, you have an 89 Lola. You don't know anyone to get a 90? You don't know? You ever heard a guy named Carl Haas? You know anybody might know him?
Yeah. It'd be nice to have a 90, but the 89 car is working very nice, and the team has done a great job.
Certainly have, and he did a great job getting this car in the field. And Jeff Andretti. Gary?
Now, we call this the racing fraternity. Now, I have to ask, Mario, Michael, John, any hazing for the newest member once he's securely in the field at 6 o'clock tonight?
Well, where he's positioned now in the field, I think it's a good place because you can be very comfortable and just take your time and then move up to the front at the end.
Hazing, Mario?
Well, I think Jeff is going to have to feel his way around, of course, and be somewhat patient. And I think if he runs all day, he has an excellent chance of coming in the first 10.
We talked yesterday following his qualification run. I don't care how many world titles you have, how many IndyCar titles or pole positions or Indy wins. When your kid's out there, you're a dad, and it's tough to be standing there in the pit area watching, knowing there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, it is. It's the most helpless feeling because you know what he's going through, and you have the tendency to sort of, just feel so uptight because, again, there's nothing you can do. You wish you could just talk to him, maybe to say, But it's a lonely job out there, as I said, and when they're out there, when we're out there, we're on our own, and it's either going to happen or not.
Michael, would you like to share some race day strategy with us? Go right to the front early, or lay back and let somebody else set the pace?
No, I think everybody's going to be trying to get to the front early, and I think you're going to have to run up front all day. I think the main thing is going to be to stay on the lead lap. If you can achieve that, I think you'll be able to give it a good shot at the end. But we'll have to wait and see. I think we have a good shot. Car feels good.
As we say, it's very difficult to get all 4 of these together, the same spot, the same time. We thank you for joining us today. We wish you well. We'll see what the weatherman has in store for you, and your backup car is waiting should you need it. We thank you all for joining us. John, Mario, Michael, and Jeff. The Andrettis, the first time ever, 4 members of the same family in the Indy 500.
There you see row 11, Jeff Andretti, the rookie, is on the bubble at 210.268 miles an hour. John Paul Jr. has already knocked rookie Buddy Lazier out of the field, and Jeff Andretti has spent his time in a very meaningful way as he tries to await his fate, maybe take his backup car onto the racetrack. This is what he did moments ago as he got the car spun around, and he didn't hit anything.
Just on the exit, you can see it bob a little bit. The rear end is a little bit loose, and it's exactly what happened. They changed the stagger. The rear end just did something he wasn't quite used to. It's another one of those little changes that we talked about earlier.
But he kept the car off the wall, put a new set of tires on it, and he's back out there running in some laps. We are now into happy hour. Johnny Rutherford is out on the racetrack trying to get up to speed, hoping to knock Jeff Andretti out of the field. There is Johnny about to go through tech inspection. He has turned a lap at 217 miles an hour. The drama is just beginning at Indy. ESPN Speed World live coverage of time trials for the 74th Indianapolis 500 is brought to you by Yokohama Tire Corporation, one of the fastest growing tire companies in the United States. By Levi's 505 and 506 jeans. And by Vermont American, the power in power tool accessories. We are back live at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and we are in happy hour, that time of day most appropriate for great speed, and the time is running out. It is 5:07 local time. There are 53 minutes remaining for those who would like to get into the field for the 74th Indy 500 to do it. Let's get down to Jerry Punch in the pit lane quickly.
A very valuable commodity here right now in this witching hour might be an extra car that's been proven on the track already. That's what Dale Coyne has. Now, his young rookie driver, Dean Hall, ran a 2-year-old Lola here over 212, almost 213 miles an hour earlier in the week before they were able to get the 1990 car, which he qualified yesterday at 217 plus miles per hour. Now, Dale, I understand a lot of people have been going by your garage. This car could really be bid on considerably the next 45 minutes or so. Who's been by?
Well, we've had several people come by and look at it. It's a 2-year-old Lola, but it's been up to, Dean's had it at 212, which is a good enough speed to make the race right now. We just talked with Buddy Lazier, who was the first person to get bumped, and offered it to him, but being as late as it is, and your emotions and everything have to be right to qualify a car here. This is a tough place to qualify. We just felt it would be better to just wait right now, and he's going to concentrate on some races. Buddy is later in the year, but we brought the car out, and it's ready. It's going to be put in line, and we'll see what happens in the next 45 minutes.
It's a proven car. I understand Rich Vogler had been by, or Jonathan Bird had been by in Vogler's behalf earlier. Now, what does something like that cost if someone walked up and said, hey, I want to buy that car, I want to get in the field, and it pays a minimum of $100,000, I guess, in the field. So what would you sell the car for?
Well, we'd sell the car for less than that. We'd probably sell the car for $75,000, and then we would take our motor out after it was qualified. So it's a good deal for somebody. The only problem we have now is that it's hard for a new driver to get in a car and be right in a car with all the pressure and the emotion of the last bubble hour here.
Time is of the essence here. I tell you, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. Scott Pruitt, if it were up to you and you had this car available, what would you do? Would you jump in the backup car and try to get in the field?
I think you have to jump in the backup car. There's no other opportunity. You're here to run the 500. An 88 car is not that significantly different than the 89 Lola, so I think that Buddy could jump in there and do pretty well, but he'd have to get going on it now. I'd almost want to stack my deck, make sure I go out there and get a little time, get comfortable with the car instead of waiting until the last minute. That's when he can run into problems.
You're watching Johnny Rutherford and Terrell Palmroth's backup car out on the racetrack. Dale Coyne is an interesting story. There's been a lot of talk at Indianapolis this year about the have and have not owners and whether the former can continue to keep the latter oppressed and so forth. Coyne, as you take a look at Lone Star JR there, used to be the tail ender at every IndyCar race. He ran stock block engines. He just made the show and got by on what little prize money he could win. But he kept trying and he kept trying, and now he is a force here at Indianapolis, the biggest show in racing. He's got turbocharged race cars. He has a 1990 car. He's got a flashy young rookie, Dean Hall, who put the car in the field at 217 miles an hour. Suddenly, Dale Coyne is a force in IndyCar racing, and that is what the sport is all about. Starting at the bottom and working your way up. Maybe Dale Coyne will be a Roger Penske someday. Let's get back down to the pit lane and Jerry Punch.
Moments ago, I was talking with Dale Coyne. You saw him here on pit road, and while we were talking to him, everyone began to gather around, including some of the agents for the Jonathan Bird racing team of Rich Vogler. When they heard Coyne quote me a price of around $75,000 for a 2-year-old car, but a car that's been over 212, they immediately grabbed Coyne away when we stopped the interview, and they have made their way up pit road for a serious negotiating session. We'll keep you abreast of what's happening.
Well, I was just saying that for the television guys. I didn't really mean 75,000. I feel more like 6 figures today. What do you say? It says, let's make a deal in the pit lane at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 7, make that 8 former winners are in the field for the 74th running. One more would tie the record set 2 years ago, and there's the man who could do it. Here you see some of the new corporate suites that have been erected with 17,000 seats, about the same seating capacity as Market Square Arena here in Indianapolis, where the NBA Pacers play. Underneath those suites is a new development in IndyCar racing with a family twist to it. Gary Lee took a look at daycare in IndyCar racing with Katie Guerrero.
As we move into the 1990s, corporate America is becoming more aware of the need for child care in the workplace. And this year, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, in cooperation with a number of corporations, is providing a child care facility for those involved in motorsports.
It's one of those, I think, simple ideas that's not so easy to put together. It's just so neat because, as you know, the month of May, I don't think any of the racing mechanics see their family in the light of day for the entire month. So this frees up the wives, and sometimes they'll come over and see their kids here during the day.
Although the center can cater to older children, most of the attendees during the week are preschoolers. Graduate teaching students from Butler University and the University of Indianapolis staff the center. And here, little Al Unser's youngest daughter, Shannon, explores her creative talents at the easel.
They're very much in tune with treating this like a mini school. You know, they actually come in, they have a program during the day which they follow, and they're learning things. They're doing art projects. They're doing all various things, playing with clay. And so it's not just come in and play the whole day. They have definitely a planned agenda.
This permanent facility for the month of May was provided by the Speedway. Sponsorship is now being sought for a mobile daycare center for the remainder of the IndyCar circuit.
That's our goal for next year, is to get it through the entire kart series, and oh, that would be a dream come true for sure, because I think a lot more people would be able to bring their children with them on the racing weekends, and that would be great for everyone.
The Racing Babies Daycare Center is open from about 30 minutes before the track opens for practice until 30 minutes after the track closes, and on race day from 6 to 6. And I have to believe some racing stars of the future may be in there right now playing with building blocks and crayons.
Well, the life of a racing driver, including a guy like Rich Vogler, is very much a gypsy-like existence, and developments like that are certainly important for the sport. Now, Vogler is standing by while his representatives, there you see the back, the substantial back of his car owner, Jonathan Bird, and they are dealing, that is Dale Coyne, you've already met him in the striped shirt. They are dickering over a race car, and they are talking big bucks. Remember that there's over $100,000 for the last place finisher in the Indy 500. If you can get a race car for something less than that, buy yourself a few sets of Goodyears and get out there and make the 500 field, could be very much worth your investment. So the driver stands by while the car owner talks. And the drama of Indy 500 Bubble Day qualifying continues. There you see the car in question, the backup car for Dean Hall, one of 7 rookies already in the field. We'll be back to see how the negotiation turns out after this. In 1972, veteran hot rodder Barney Navarro tried a power plant that was a little out of the ordinary. He attempted to make the 500 with a turbocharged Rambler. Les Scott, Dave Strickland, Jigger Soroy, and Denny Zimmerman were among those who tried unsuccessfully to qualify it, while Mike Mosley took a guest ride in the car one year and didn't think Barney was too far off. Speaking of strange turbocharged cars, you're looking at Teo Fabi's Porsche, which got parked, stranded out on the racetrack just outside the pit exit. Neat location of the turbocharger on that car, Scott.
It is. It's radically different. The transmission as well as the turbo. The turbocharger actually sits in front of the engine instead of like all the rest of the cars here behind the engine. And the transmission itself is sitting between the axles. And most of the cars out here, the transmission is actually hanging out behind. So it's a radical design, and it looks like they're still trying to work some of the bugs out.
Trying to get the weight toward the center of the car. 42 minutes remaining in happy hour, and that's all that's left of qualifying for the Indy 500. There you see the activity in the pit lane. Guys getting their cars ready if they're already in the field. Other guys trying to make the field and bump the slow qualifier, who right now is Jeff Andretti at 210.268 miles an hour. Teo Fabi recently was threatened with a $10,000 fine. He was almost directed onto the racetrack yesterday by his team while someone else was qualifying. They got him stopped before he got out there, and team manager Derek Walker went over and talked to officials about it. I think Teo got off the hook.
Right now, you just see there's no activity on the track, and that's because of the caution period. That was because of Teo stopped down on the way into turn 1. They're just out there inspecting the course and make sure there's nothing wrong, and then they'll probably pick it back up with practice. There's still a number of cars left to be qualified. Johnny Rutherford is about to be in line, or at least getting ready to. Jeff Andretti is still, waiting by nervously, hoping that nobody will bump him out of the race.
And there is Salt Walters' car. He also is not in the field. Let me correct something I said earlier. They're not 7 rookies now. With Lazier's absence, there are now 4 rookies remaining in the field. And Jeff Andretti, one of those rookies, is the man on the bubble right now. You see one of the pace cars coming in after a quick track inspection. There are any number of special awards. The purse for the Indy 500 expected to reach over $6 million this year, and that includes some very substantial qualifying awards. A very special award was presented earlier this afternoon in the garage area to Jim Crawford, and Gary Lee was the master of ceremonies.
There are so many awards given each year here at the Brickyard, too numerous to mention specifically, but this year we have a first ever award being presented back here in the John Menard Garage, and we're delighted to be a part of the ceremony. Naval Commander John Henderson.
Jim, I'd like to congratulate you on your qualifications, and as a real determined driver, it's very much like the military in our effort to make things happen. And as a naval aviator, I know that the Indy cars are very much aerodynamically like the military aircraft. And for your stunning performances here over the last couple of weeks and your superior effort and your determination to get qualified, I'd like to congratulate you on behalf of the United States Navy and the United States Military Services and present you with some Navy Wings of Gold. And Jim, on behalf of the United States Navy and the United States Armed Forces, congratulations, and I would like to make sure that you accept these Wings of Gold at this time.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. Very unexpected. Thank you.
Now, I understand, though, Commander, he didn't have clearance to land.
I understand he did not have clearance to land, but I think his approach was very much like a carrier-borne approach, and I think without the benefit of arrested landing, Jim, you did a superb job on that at this on the incident, and I would like to congratulate you on such a stunning performance. And we'd like to say that even without the benefit of naval aviation training, you are more than qualified to accept those Wings of Gold.
Jim, I know we're having some fun with this, tongue-in-cheek, but I know you would just as soon not have been a part of what is being called one of the most spectacular crashes ever, but we're delighted to see you climb out and walk away.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to go through it all. I'm just happy that we can laugh about it now. It's, you know, it's unfortunate, but it's happened, so let's put it behind us and go on.
Not exactly the kind of plaque you were anticipating when the month of May began.
No, but I'll take it. I'm very happy with this. This is a good conversation piece for the mantelpiece.
You may recall about 25 years ago, we had a driver here nicknamed the Flying Scot, Jimmy Clark. I really don't think you want that nickname, do you?
No, but I believe he won it 25 years ago, so let's try and repeat.
You'll take it.
I'll take it.
Maybe a good omen. From the garage area, there it is, a once-in-a-lifetime special award to Jimmy Crawford.
Congratulations, Jim. As you see, no one in tech inspection right now with about 38 minutes remaining in qualifying for the Indy 500. There is also another award nobody wants to win, $5,000 to the first alternate, the 34th qualifier for the 33-car field at the Indy 500. Stay with us. Pit lane and a big crowd on hand as the minutes dwindle down on Bubble Day, the last chance to get into the field by knocking someone out of the field. The time to beat, the speed that is, 210.268. Johnny Rutherford has a car and he is not into the race. John Paul Jr. has already knocked Buddy Lazier out of the race. There's plenty of bumping still to come, although Scott Pruitt, I see you getting a little bit antsy as we look down on JR's car, getting a little late in the program here to attempt to bump somebody.
It's getting real late in the program. The minutes are slipping away, and you know, as you saw earlier, there's a lot of dealing going on down there too. Looking for a car, looking for the opportunity to get in. That's $100,000 to come away with to make it into the race, and everybody definitely wants to do that.
We saw earlier as Jonathan Byrd was trying to negotiate a car for Rich Vogler to get into the field. We have an update on that now from the pit lane with Gary Lee.
To some extent, this is Mark Bridges, and he has felt both ends, both extremes. He was the co-chief mechanic for the 1983 winner, Tom Sneva. He worked with the George McNaughty back then. Right now, it's a struggle, though. We talked earlier with Rich about the 50 car, the Ferrari entry. There have been some changes made back in the garage area on that.
Right, there's virtually two problems with it. One of them is the wastegate, which at the time when Rich ran it, he didn't have any boost. That's being fixed right now. The other problem is the slave cylinder lost the O-rings in it, and that had to be replaced because originally he had no clutch. It leaked all the fluid out, and to fix that problem, we had to jerk the rear end off of it. So it's going back together now, and it should be down on the ground in about 5-10 minutes.
You have been talking with Jonathan Byrd. Jonathan Byrd has been talking with Dale Coyne. If something comes together there, will there be any changes needed on that particular car, 39?
Well, if they can put something together, then we would go with Dale Coyne right at the moment. The car's already run 212, and Rich can get in it.
All right, the excitement continues. A lot of question marks down here as the happy hour continues.
And there is Rich Vogler, the only driver ever to win the United States Auto Club Sprint Car and Midget Car titles in the same year. He has 2 Sprint Car titles, 5 Midget Car championships, and nobody else has ever done that. But right now, he is the odd man out in terms of getting into this field. You see practice continuing. That is Tony Bettenhausen on the racetrack. Fastest lap thus far today has been turned in by Arie Luyendyk, one of our front row sitters, 220.033 miles an hour. 24 American citizens are in the field, 9 foreign. Depends on how you look at it. Mario Andretti, of course, was born in Italy. Eddie Cheever is essentially an American-born Italian. Roberto Guerrero, a naturalized Colombian. 24 Americans, 2 Brazilians, 1 Italian, 1 Australian, 1 Scotsman, a Canadian, a Dutchman, a Finn, and a Belgian in the field right now. Look at the number of laps run thus far. 9,711 laps, despite all the rain we've had. Thousands, tens of thousands of miles of practice time. And I'm sure Dean Hall is still leading the way. He has run over 1,400 miles, getting himself accustomed to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway 2.5-mile oval. India is such a great resource of history and tradition, and there are one easy way right here in the Indianapolis area to learn more about the history of the Speedway. We have more now with a look at the professor who teaches folks about Indy. Here's an Indy 500 pop quiz. What do the names Carl Fisher, James Allison, Arthur Newby, and Frank Wheeler have in common? Who was the first man to average 100 miles an hour for the 500-mile distance? How many bricks did it take to pave the brickyard, and when was it done? Well, each year here on the combined Indianapolis campuses of Indiana and Purdue universities, a group of race fans learns the answers to those questions and a whole lot more in a seminar conducted by U.S. Auto Club historian Donald Davidson, one of the world's foremost experts on the 500.
This course, everybody comes here because they want to. I mean, it's a concentrated effort for them to come to this. And some of them come in with clipboards and tape recorders, and they want more than you would normally have time to give. So it's great because I have an opportunity to, you know, whenever you do a talk, you pretty much have your same basic remarks, and you maybe change it for whatever the group is. But here, you can get into all the anecdotes that you normally wouldn't have an opportunity to do.
On 4 consecutive Wednesdays each April, these students get the unique opportunity to go one-on-one with the recognized authority on the 500. Even the most knowledgeable come away impressed.
I learned a lot of things. I thought I knew a lot, and I guess I really didn't. I really learned a lot that I thought I knew more than him, actually, but I learned, you know, I didn't.
This is our second year at the class. Probably it's just a place where you can be with other real race fans that know what they're talking about and talk to someone who knows what he's talking about, and you don't usually get that at any place else.
Davidson has noticed a trend in his course. There's a span of time in Speedway history that generates the most discussion.
Probably the 40s and 50s and 60s, and I realize that that's 3 decades rather than 1, but whilst everybody, pretty much everybody, is into now, I don't think that there really are that many questions about now.
Davidson's students even get a graduation present, a copy of the Indy 500 yearbook. And at a time when most students are sweating through exams, this group can't wait until next year.
So it's very, very rewarding because 9 o'clock, and we can carry on if we want to, and we've gone as late as 20 to 11. Sometimes we've just stopped it at 10, 10:15, and half the crowd's still here, and then they'll come down and talk, and it's very, very rewarding. I love it.
And there is Donald Davidson working with our own Bob Jenkins in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Radio Network office. And it is a fascinating look into the history of the Indy 500. It could take more than 4 nights to describe just a small fraction of the great events and great races and great personalities, the great stories of the Indianapolis 500. 29 minutes remain in happy hour. 29 minutes to get into the field for the 74th Indianapolis 500. Lone Star JR is ready. We'll be back.
When a driver comes to the Brickyard, he would like to have his name and face put on this trophy, the Borg-Warner Trophy, here, synonymous with those who go to victory lane and win at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Now, there are 4 drivers in the field thus far, and we are still in Bubble Day, who would like to have a shot at winning this brand new Bank One Rookie of the Year award. This etched glass trophy being given for the first time this year will go to a winner of the driver winning the Rookie of the Year, selected by a panel of 35 media and race officials. Now, last year, the co-rookies of the year, Bernard Jourdain, and of course our analyst today, Scott Pruitt. But this year, a brand new etched glass award. The driver will be given this trophy, and there will be one placed permanently in the museum here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. There are 4 rookies currently in the field, but the 4th rookie, Jeff Andretti, still on the bubble, awaiting these last 25 minutes. Bob?
Have to wait and see. You know, that's you can win the 500 year after year, but you can only win the Rookie of the Year once, and it's quite an honor to be able to do that and achieve that for Bank One.
And it certainly has been a great omen. You're up here in the booth with me, and Bernard Jourdain's in a hospital in downtown Indianapolis. It's been a tough year on Rookies of the Year.
We made out pretty bad this year.
In case you're just joining us, we are under green flag conditions. Cars are practicing on the racetrack. There you see Danny Sullivan making his way around in one of the Penske's. It'll be renumbered number 7. That is Emo's backup car. Bernard Jourdain, we understand, is watching from his hospital bed. He suffered a big crash on Friday. He had some surgery today to correct a problem with his spleen. He is in the recovery room and watching the goings-on here at the racetrack. It's turned into a lovely afternoon here at Indianapolis, a bit humid, temperature about 80 degrees, and we are into the last 20-odd minutes of qualifying. Jeff Andretti is the man on the bubble as you watch Danny Sullivan come to a stop. 210.268 miles an hour. And Scott, as the minutes tick down, I have to assume Jeff Andretti is getting more and more nervous.
I'm sure that that Jourdain can appreciate what Jeff's going through right now. It's quite hectic being there on the bubble. Fortunately, I haven't felt what that's like, and I hope I never do feel what that's like. But it's quite a scramble right now, and what's going to happen is the next 15 minutes they're going to have to scramble to get out there to get in those last few laps to qualify.
Johnny Rutherford has been in and out in his new car, the new car he got from the Taro Palmeroth team. We have more on that story now from the pit lane with Gary Lee.
Well, Jeff Stoops, on 3 separate occasions, you own the car that won the USAC Sprint Car title. It's a long way, though, to the Brickyard. It's been a real struggle the last 2 years. The final 30 minutes, give us an update. John's back getting refueled. Is he ready to qualify?
Well, we're getting close, Gary. We ran some laps at 2:05. Then we've had a couple of 2:09.5 back-to-back. We're going to make a couple more changes to the car. We need another mile an hour out of the car for 4 laps to bump Andretti out. So we'll wait and see what he says. We think that he's running good straightaway speeds, 222, 223. It'll still have to back out in the corners a little. So we think if we got a time to make another run and then put our qualifying tires on, we think we can do it. We'll just have to wait and see.
You, of course, qualify with minimum fuel on board. You're going to fuel up enough now to run a few practice laps and have just enough fuel to qualify without going back to the garage area?
Right.
All right, there's the latest from Jeff Stoops. JR may still get this Indy 500.
And that corrects some misinformation we had earlier that JR had turned to 217 in practice. That was actually Taro Palmeroth in his race car. Rocky Moran is not in the field. He has turned a lap at 2:11, which would be good enough to get him onto this scoring pylon if he can do it for 4 laps. The speed to beat, 210.605 miles an hour. We'll be back to Indy.
Cheever. He ran very, very strong. You know, I would think that they were hoping for around 217 and ran quite a bit quicker than that. So I think that really surprised everybody.
It's been a long time since a rookie won the Indy 500. In fact, Graham Hill, I believe in 1966, was the last to do it. Let's get down and learn more about Rich Vogler's situation from the pit lane.
We talked, of course, with Mark Bridges. Mark said they had made some mechanical changes to the number 50 car. That's the Antonio Ferrari entry. It now is rolling past us in the pit area. Apparently, Jonathan Byrd has elected to go with that car. He has decided not to go with the Dale Coyne 39 Lola. That's a couple of years old. So consequently, we may yet see Rich Vogler on the track in this 50 car. Now, a nice, interesting development here at the head of the tech area. Car number 98T, that is the backup car for Jeff Andretti. The young Andretti is on the bubble. Salt Walther is going through tech inspection. He will make another attempt in the white number 77. But Andretti is right here in position just in case he gets bumped. They're working with the pop-off valve right now. So if Andretti should get bumped, he could go right back out immediately and attempt to bump himself back into this year's Indy 500.
If you're Rutherford, think about this and that team. Why not wait till last possible second to go out and not let Jeff have the opportunity to go back out after you?
Beats me. If you know more about this than I do, Scott.
If you're confident enough to be able to get in the field, that would be the perfect opportunity. You'd be able to get in the field, just run over Jeff Andretti's speed without ever letting him get the opportunity to go back out.
That's right, and Andretti does have a solid backup car behind him. It's really going to get interesting, folks. We now have about 19 minutes remaining. There is Jeff Andretti talking to his father, Mario, now in his 25th Indy 500 field. Jeff still hoping to hang on to make his first. The Andrettis are once again at center stage at Indianapolis. Flag conditions at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You see Jeff Andretti's car going through tech inspection. I assume, yes, that is the T car, so that is the car that he would defend his slow time, if you will, the last position in the starting field. There is Mike Groff, who was bumped from the field yesterday, getting out of his car. Salt Walther is in position to make an attempt to bump Jeff Andretti from the field. Andretti ready to retaliate. Walther's best time to date has been 208 miles an hour, and that will not be good enough to best the 210.268 of Jeff Andretti. Let's find out more about Mike Groff's situation.
Well, Mike had just taken the car back to have the car fueled to make an effort for his qualifying attempt. This is the car that was under bid last night. Of course, Jeff, we talked about some of the other car owners that were trying to bid. Jeff Stoops and others were bidding for this car. This is a 2-year-old Lola that was for the Vince Granatelli team. And Larry Curley has actually set the car up. He is the crew chief for Vince Granatelli for the efforts for Tom Sneva and Kevin Cogan, etc. So he has put the car together, hoping to get young rookie Jeff Groff in the field. They will put the car through tech inspection and make a qualifying run momentarily.
And there are other cars lining up. I see Rocky Moran's car being pulled down toward tech inspection. So we have a few cars that are going to try and get out in the 17 minutes remaining in qualifying for Indy. Scott?
Even though you see a lot of the teams selling the cars right now, you also see a lot of the teams not having that opportunity. What's happening now is a lot of the big sponsors, they don't want to take the opportunity to potentially crash their car in a 500. We're backed up by Milwaukee the weekend after, and they just don't want to take a chance on losing the car.
Well, down here in the tech inspection line, the Andretti backup car has been pulled out. We hear the engine fire up on Salt Walters' car as we take a look at this orangey number 10 with the rookie Mike Groff on board. They have been over 212 in practice. They are ready. They are at the head of the line, so we're seeing plenty of activity in the final few minutes of qualifying. Coverage from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's bump day at Indy.
Jeff Andretti is under attack. Salt Walther is on the racetrack trying to beat Andretti's speed of 210.268 miles an hour, slowest in the 33-car field for the Indy 500. There you see Walther driving a car owned by his father, George.
He was close to the wall that time. I don't know if you saw that coming off a one, but that was awful close.
Down the backstretch he comes, 5/8 of a mile, reaching speeds of about 220 miles an hour. Is he slowing down? No, it looks like he's going to make a run at it. He has warmed up. I'm not sure if this is his
second lap.
Okay, so he has to either wave off or take the green flag this time around. The green flag is out, and Salt Walther is going to attempt to bump Jeff Andretti. The Andrettis, the first family in history to have 4 members in the field for the Indy 500. They hope it stays that way. Several times we've seen brothers and 3 members of a family.
His first lap at 2:10.202.
Marginal. That is slower than Jeff Andretti's 4-lap average. Back in the early days of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Chevrolet brothers, all 3 were in the race. Jeff Andretti just heard the speed there.
Nervous.
Shows a lot of cool there for a guy in his 20s. In his first time at this mammoth and historic racetrack. You see the shadows have gotten very long here. That will cool off the racetrack a little bit. Probably make them a little faster, I would think, Scott.
It definitely will. This is the perfect time to run on a track. And this is what they call the happy hour. This is when the highest speeds you usually see either in the morning or in the late evening. The winds aren't too bad. The conditions are almost perfect. And he picks it up a little bit, 2:11.332.
That makes his average 210.765, and that's enough to bump Andretti if he can keep up that pace. Turn 3.
Imagine what's going through his mind right now. Brake, baby.
Rain, brake. Where's my backup car? Where's my helmet? Where's my gloves? What am I doing here? White flag, 1 lap left for Salt Walther. A great story in his own right. Trying to make a comeback at Indianapolis after being away for 10 years.
210.714, average of 210.748. That's enough to do it.
By 1/2 mile per hour. Walther seriously burned in a start line crash here at Indianapolis in 1973. Went through more than 100 surgical procedures. Lost the fingers on his left hand. Became addicted to morphine as a painkiller. Was even arrested for trying to obtain the drug illegally a couple of years back. Went through rehabilitation. Says he's been clean for about 15 months now, and he wants to drive a race car again. Spent some time in the American Racing Series driving turbocharged Buicks, and he is now back at the Speedway with a wave to the crowd. He takes the checkered flag, and I think Jeff Andretti knows bad news is coming.
210.558 for the average.
His laps 210.202, 211.332, 210.714, 209.991, and by 3/10 of a mile an hour, he has bumped Jeff Andretti out of the Indy 500 field. And there is his crew in pit lane reacting to the announcement from PA announcer Tom Carnegie.
The highs of the highs and the low of the lows.
We have seen them all this weekend. The joy of the Bettenhausens as they got into the race, and now the misery of young Jeff Andretti, who no doubt has a lot of Indy 500s ahead of him. but he really has his work cut out for him now. He has a chance of salvaging a position in the race, but he has to get his backup car through tech inspection and take it out. There are 11 minutes, make that 10 minutes remaining on Bubble Day at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And the tension level is rising noticeably. We'll be right back. Stay with us. The best is yet to come. Speed World live coverage of the time trials for the 74th Indianapolis 500 has been brought to you by Kawasaki Motors Corporation USA. Kawasaki, let the good times roll. By Busch Beer, the beer with a taste as smooth as its name. And by Quaker State, the Big Q is one tough motor oil. Mike Groff is on the racetrack attempting to get into the field for the Indy 500. He pulled in off the racetrack. Salt Walther has knocked Jeff Andretti out of the field. He replaces him on the bubble, and he's with Jerry Punch now.
42-year-old David Salt Walther. And Salt, congratulations on a super effort.
Thank you. You know, that's just we ran right at, well, I ran as hard as I could all the way around. I had to move the weight jacks. I started getting loose, but we never backed off. That's as quick as we can get right now.
You had some doubts early in the week. You didn't know you would be here, didn't know if you could be here, but your dad was there to always push you ahead. Did that make the difference?
Well, it's just what I want to do. You know, I want to be here, you know that, but my stepmother and my dad mean a lot to me. I hope we stay in, but I don't think we will.
Salt Walther, it has been 11 years since he was here in the Indy 500, but 210.558, it just might be enough.
That is the mark on the bubble, and that is what this man is shooting at. Johnny Rutherford, knocked from the field last year by Rich Vogler. He has his shot now in a backup car for Tero Palmroth.
We have less than 10 minutes left. We have Jeff Andretti, we have JR, we have Groff, Vogler, Moran. They just don't have enough time to get them done. Who's going to be?
Somebody will not get onto the racetrack. It'll take about 2.5, make that 2 minutes and 40 seconds for JR to complete his 4-lap run. Once he is at speed, he is on the first of 2 warm-up laps, and that's going to add some time as well. We may only see 2 more men, maybe 3 more men on the racetrack, assuming they all go the full 4-lap distance.
There's his wife, hoping, praying to get into the field this year for the 74th running. There's a lot of pressure. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on Johnny and a lot of pressure on the whole team.
Here you see the 4 biggest names in Indianapolis: A.J. Foyt, Al Unser Sr., Johnny Rutherford, Mario Andretti, and take a look at their records. They talk about Andretti's luck here. In 24 starts, he has finished 8 times. He has won once, but the sheer numbers belie his competitiveness over the years. Johnny Rutherford, 24 starts. Al Unser, 24 starts. Unser, Rutherford, and Andretti all going for that silver anniversary here at Indianapolis. Thus far, the only one who hasn't got it is this man, Johnny. The next man in line is Rocky Moran.
Here he comes down for the green.
He's going to need 210.558 miles an hour. 2 crashes kept Johnny Rutherford out of the field in 1983. The only other time in the last 26 years that he has not been in the field for the Indy 500. He started 30th in 1984, and in 85, and in 1988. Was bumped last year from the field, as I mentioned.
Johnny's a real gentleman. He's helped me out a lot in getting to know the Indianapolis here, and bends over backwards for you. If you have any questions, any help that you need, he's more than willing to help out. He's was one of the first ones to contact me after the accident. Wishing him well.
Off the corner he comes. 5 minutes remaining, and Johnny is going to take up most of it. He can't wave off. He just doesn't have the time to. As Benny looks on, we'll have the time for you as soon as we can. The first lap won't do it. 2:08.889. That's not going to do it. He needs another 3 miles an hour to get him comfortably over 210.
The big question is now, will he take the wave off, or will he continue the 4 laps to take up the time?
You better know that Rocky Moran is hoping that he will. His engine is fired now, ready to take off the moment Johnny Rutherford stops. Completing the 2nd lap. Once again, Betty shakes her head. It doesn't look good for the 3-time Indy 500 champion. Time time coming up now on the new electronic timing system here in Indianapolis, 2:09.074. He has a chance, but he has to go a lot quicker right now.
Since it is the average of 4 laps, he has to run at least 2:11 laps to bring the average up to 2:11 laps, as a matter of fact. It's a long way to go.
Shadows may be going long in the career of one of the great names at Indianapolis, Johnny Rutherford. Off turn 4, he comes again. And he gets a yellow flag. A wave off by his crew, Scott? Or do you think that the officials asked him to get off because... No, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't ask him to get off because he wasn't making speed and there were cars behind him, would they?
They certainly wouldn't think so. I didn't... the crew must have picked it up.
Well, maybe Johnny is doing the noble thing and getting off to allow Rocky Moran his chance. He is on the racetrack. In fact, he is 1 turn behind Johnny Rutherford. Here he comes. Rocky Moran. Once again, the speed he must reach, 210.55, 8 miles an hour to bump Salt Walther. Rocky spent years here at Indianapolis driving A.J. Foyt's backups to get into the field. He now has his own ride with Gore Racing out of Wisconsin, who have teamed up with Menard Racing to get Buick power into Rocky's car.
This is the last chance. There's no more opportunities now. I mean, he either does it now or doesn't do it at all for this year.
I have 2 minutes remaining. Jeff Andretti waits. He would be the next out. But it looks like he will not have the time if Rocky Moran gets up to speed and does a complete 4-lap attempt. Rocky Moran has been driving GTP sports cars with Dan Gurney's team in IMSA Camel GT competition. We'll see him a week from tomorrow in Lime Rock, Connecticut. There is Salt Walther talking to the local TV crews. And certainly he knows what's going on the racetrack behind him. It's got to be tough to keep your train of thought, I would think, when you know that a man is on the racetrack right now trying to put you back on the trailer.
It is. You know, there's so many emotions that go through your mind right now. It's just unbelievable. There's no place like Indy. There's no time like qualification. For me, it was the most nervous time that I've ever experienced in my whole life. I was not worried about being on the bubble.
He's on his way, is Rocky Moran. This would be the last attempt of the day. But if he can't get up to speed, maybe he'll let Jeff Andretti get out there. The racetrack is marked with all of the events that we've seen in the last 3 days. The crashes, the tire marks on the wall, the skid marks on the racetrack from the spins. And we have seen a number of crashes. Rich Vogler, Steve Chassie, Jim Crawford. There you see Jeff Andretti's skid marks in the background. There is nothing like the drama of Indianapolis.
What's it going to be? Have enough? Let's see.
The first lap. It's a good one. 210.891 miles an hour. If he can maintain this speed, he can knock Salt Walther out of the race. And that means, there you see the timekeeper. He will stick his arm out the window and fire a starter's pistol in the air. And the firing of the gun for 74 years has meant the end of qualifying at Indianapolis. It has opened the history books for 33 drivers officially in the field, and it has snuffed the hopes of those who were not able to make it. Second lap complete for Rocky Moran. The gun has fired. Qualifications are closed. Jeff Andretti will not get an attempt at the 1990 Indy 500. There will be 3 Andrettis and not the historic 4.
And he's quicker yet. 2:11.050. He's got to keep it going too. He's got to keep this speed up. It's getting down to the last few minutes.
There's Michael Andretti shaking his head. Father Mario to the left of the picture. Sports Center will be coming up behind us. We'll say goodbye as quickly as possible after the drama of Indianapolis qualifying is complete. But Rocky Moran, with 1 lap to go, could become the 33rd and final qualifier, bumping Salt Walther. He has 3 laps now in the book. His times are slowly getting quicker. That lap, 42.630 seconds, 211.119 miles an hour. His 3-lap average, 211.020, will knock Salt Walther out of the field. What a moment like this You think about the Johnny Rutherfords and the Jeff Andrettis.
Tell you what, my palms are sweating from being nervous.
Oh my.
This is it, the checkered flag.
It looks like it's a good one. It looks like Rocky Moran will make the Indy 500. Speed's coming up. Once again, his final lap added a little bit more speed. His 4-lap average, 211.076 miles an hour. And the news is coming over the PA system right now to Salt Walter. He told us he didn't think it would stand up, and it didn't. Congratulations to him were the words on his lips. Good guy, Salt Walter. The last man to be bumped from the field. Rocky Moran will be the 33rd. The 33rd and final qualifier. I'm checking the other times because he might have gone faster than John Paul Jr., in which case he would have been the 32nd qualifier, but it hasn't turned out that way.
What a day we've seen. I mean, what a month we've seen. The rain, the times, the missed days of qualifying, and right up until the last minute of qualifying, bumping out of the race.
As Rocky Moran pulls in, we'll give you a look at the final rundown, the official field for the 74th running of the Indy 500. On the pole, of course, Emerson Fittipaldi, who won the pole standing in his street clothes as qualifying finished yesterday. It'll be Rick Mears and Arie Luyendyk. Row 2, Bobby Rahal, Michael Andretti, and Mario Andretti. On row 3, Al Unser Jr., A.J. Foyt, and Danny Sullivan. Row 4, John Andretti, Dominic Dobson, and Randy Lewis. Row 5 will be Tony Bettenhausen, Eddie Cheever, Kevin Kogan. Behind them, Terrell Palmroth, Raul Boesel, and Gary Bettenhausen. Row 7, Jeff Brabham, Didier Tays, and Scott Goodyear. Row 8, Pancho Carter, Teo Fabi, and Dean Hall. Row 9, Tom Sneva, Scott Brayton, and Stan Fox. On row 10, Roberto Guerrero, Jim Crawford, and Al Unser Sr. On row 11, Billy Vukovich III, and our 2 latest qualifiers, John Paul Jr. and Rocky Moran. It's been a great time bringing you qualifying. There you see Jeff Andretti out of the field. Sports Center is coming up next. For Scott Pruitt, Gary Lee, and Jerry Punch, I'm Bob Varsha. Enjoy the 500 next Sunday. So long, everybody.